It was a nightmare because my family is quite superstitious. Notebooks with spirals, that's a form of torture.
You want to write something, and you think, how do you do it?
How did your parents react when they realized that you are left-handed?
My mother had a hard time accepting it. It was difficult. She found out I was left-handed when I first grabbed crayons and started coloring something. It was a nightmare because my family is quite superstitious. There's a superstition about left-handed people being akin to the devil's children or something of that sort, if you've heard of it. When relatives visited, they could just pat me on the head. Such a good girl. But then I'd start drawing with my crayons, and they'd have horror in their eyes.
My parents said that whenever they gave me something, I'd always reach for it with my left hand. They realized I was definitely left-handed. And you're right about the superstition. It's just, for example, my uncle was left-handed, and they retrained him. But by the time I was little, they said, no, you can't retrain left-handed people because their other brain hemisphere is developed differently, and they are very creative people. So my parents were like, okay, he writes with his left hand, that's it. I know for sure that. I just asked my mom yesterday, actually. They used to give me things like spoons, forks, toys, and always tried to put them in my right hand. But I'm a normal guy. I'd say stop and switch everything to my left. And that happened all the time. So my parents understood that I'm left-handed.
My parents weren't shocked when I started writing with my left hand. They were shocked because when I was little, I didn't write like all normal kid, from left to right. I started writing from right to left, in mirror image. I didn't even think about it. I just did it quickly. And it's all mirrored. I didn't even think about it. I was just writing it all quickly.
Everyone in my family is left-handed. My father, his brothers, my grandfather, his brothers. They were probably all prepared for me to be left-handed.
Did anyone try to retrain you?
They tried to retrain me to write with my right hand in my childhood because, firstly, of the superstition. Secondly, how could their daughter be left-handed? Everyone else is right-handed, write with the right hand. Usually, to retrain left-handers, they would tie up their hand like this, if I'm not mistaken, but they didn't tie mine, thank God. And so I sat there thinking, man, writing with the left is bad. It's something bad, like smoking or alcohol. The only thing I remember from my childhood is that my grandmother's relative, she yelled, "What are you doing? Our cause is righteous, and we should write with the right hand. How could it be otherwise?" But there was nothing serious about the retraining.
I know for sure nobody ever wanted to retrain us, or did. As our parents explained, there was a time before when they'd tie hands or do something else. Children were retrained, but our parents were told, no, don't do it. They were born this way, they feel it this way, so it should be.
How do people react to your uniqueness?
Why were you born left-handed? It's because your mother fed you with her left breast. That's the creepiest thing I've ever heard.
Oh, you're left-handed. Left? How so? I say, just like you're right. And he's like, write with your left. I say, write with your right. And that was our dialogue. Can you use your right?
Write something.
Yeah, write with your right.
And how do you hold the pen? That's the favorite.
And how do you see what you've written?
Let me try with my left, how I do, okay?
And see, will it be the same with your right?
Everyone was shocked that I don't just write with my left hand. I write from bottom to top. At school, they tried to retrain me because of that. Imagine holding your notebook slanted, while I hold mine vertically and write from bottom to top with my hand. I don't know, it's very comfortable for me. In university, with narrow desks and many people sitting close together, this was the best skill a student could have. Because I write from bottom to top, people often try to capture me on video. They try to record how I write and constantly post it somewhere. It was a constant thing in school. My classmates did it. Some did it in university too.
Do you face difficulties in everyday life?
Right-handers, well, they write somehow like this, you know, like normal people. But we place our hand like this and write the text that you wrote. You can't see what you've written. Until you open the notebook, you don't know. And then there's the favorite smudging all over yourself. And if it's a gel pen, your day will be very interesting.
Notebooks with spirals. That's a form of torture. It's terrible. I hate it. I love notebooks, but I hate them with spirals because, yes, it's very uncomfortable. You have to somehow maneuver around the notebook.
At the beginning of the line, you want to write something, and you think, how do you do it? Scissors. I haven't tried scissors for left-handed people, but this thing, it's terrible. I cut with my left hand, and it's uncomfortable. And when in the right, I just don't know how you do it. Well, with the left, it's horrible, really. I mean, if they're big scissors, you can manage somehow. But those little manicure ones, pain. When I was about 15, I was shown scissors for left-handers, and they gave them to me. I'm like, okay, for left-handers, so in the left hand, right? I take them in my left hand, try to cut, and I'm like, guys, what did you give me? Give me normal scissors. What is this? Threw them away just like that. They gave me a pen for left-handers, but I didn't get it. I held it in my left, wrote as usual, held it in my right, and just thought, is there supposed to be a difference? But really, I never had any problems. But somehow, with a knife, it's all okay. I don't cut with my right hand. Of course, if I did, it would be the end for anyone nearby. Obviously, it'd just be a disaster. And the things I can't do with my right hand, I just don't do them.
As a left-hander, it's more comfortable for me to cut towards myself. And cutting towards yourself is a bad omen. And I love pouring away from myself with my left hand. And everyone just sits there at the table like, what? Are you pouring away happiness or what? I'm like, no, it's just wine.
Driving a manual car with the left hand? Well, normally, that is, you hold the steering wheel with your left hand, shift gears with your right, and everything as usual, like normal people, sort of. Though not about cars, but let's say, when playing, I saw in games, yes, computer games, I saw this one guy, he played, well, usually they play like this, that is, with the left, but he played like this. And he constantly played like that on the keyboard.
Mice are uncomfortable. Being left-handed, you always sit like this. I still haven't gotten used to these right-handed mice. I think, can I have it for the left?
But there are mice for left-handers.
Yes.
You talk as if, we only have a left hand, as if the right one doesn't exist. No, it works fine, everything's okay with it. It's just not as important, let's say.
Are left-handers usually clumsy?
It's true, all left-handers are clumsy, especially, well...
I'm not clumsy.
You are. All left-handers are clumsy. That's true for everyone I know. I, for one, am not just clumsy, but also as awkward as a bear. Everything constantly falls out of my hands. For example, I can forget which hand I'm holding the knife in. Classic. And then I think for 2 minutes. So, which hand was I holding it in a minute ago? Right or left? It's like a test. And which hand would be more comfortable to hold it in? In the end, I drop it anyway.
Well, being a left-hander means your hands grow out of the wrong place. It hurts, well, the scissors. It's just uncomfortable. But now, you're just accustomed. There's a mouse for left-handers. There are scissors for left-handers. They say there's a guitar. I think now there's everything for left-handers. But I don't know what it should be for me to be like, kind of buy something for left-handers. I mean, come on, it's okay. We've been using scissors since childhood, okay? All good. We wield a knife excellently. I mean, we don't go around the neighborhood with it, but cook.
Seriously, if I'm in the kitchen, I'll break everything, I'll smash everything, and then, I can start cooking.
What are the advantages of being left-handed?
I'm speaking for myself. I mean, I'm used to it somehow. Suppose, holding some tools in my right hand, eating with my left, writing with my left, throwing a basketball with my left. Here's an instance. We're sitting at home, eating. Me and my dad sitting opposite me, and I'm eating. Eating with my left, then something became uncomfortable for me. Either I needed to reach for something, I switch the fork to my right hand, and start eating with my right. And so doing something with my left simultaneously, and my dad sits there. Listen, son, are you left-handed or right-handed? I'm like, well, Dad, I'm left-handed. He's like, why are you eating with your right then? I say, well, I can do both. I mean, there's nothing super wow about it, really. You know, there are advantages. For instance, many now complain that when you're on social networks, the like button is on the left side, and you have to stretch with your right hand, but with the left, it's easy to press.
I remembered how to dodge school when everyone was getting vaccinations in their left arm. And you say you can't because it will hurt to write after the shot.
Have there been any funny moments related to being left-handed?
I hadn't started school yet. I was about 5 or 6 years old. Some friends came over to my sister, and she's like, make us sandwiches. So I went to the kitchen, and I think, I'll shine and tell everyone that I cut this bread with my right hand. I stuck the knife in the bread, and then I was like, man, how do I pull it out? Pulled it towards myself. And in the end, I hit somewhere here, near the eye, and I'm standing all bloody, start screaming, crying. Dad runs over, and I'm like, I shone with my right-handedness.
Every time we sat down to eat, my mom constantly said, eat with your right, because there's too much left in this family. I was 11 years old. I was playing soccer. We were at training. All was well. Basically, it happened that I broke my left arm. The coach called my mom, say, so-and-so, your son, basically, broke his arm. My mom immediately, oh, which one? He's like, the left one. She's like, oh, the left. Okay, good that he's not a left-hander. And I'm like, standing there, all heard through the phone, immediately like, how not a left-hander? They told my mom, took me to the hospital, put on a cast, up to the shoulder all neat. I come home. My mom looks at me, almost cries, and like, son, I forgot that you're a left-hander. And I'm like, standing there, like, hi mom, all good, yeah. And after that, for a month at school, I sat and did nothing.
Math test, and we were always told that marks would be deducted for messiness in our notebooks. And you just complete the entire test, everything's smudged here. But it's all correct, and you get a low grade. And you're like, why? They say messiness. I'm like, how can I fix this? Write with your right hand. One task, take 3 hours. The first time in my life I decided to do my nails. And I did. I was walking home happy, satisfied. I got home. Mom says, well, now you'll learn to cut like all normal people do, with your right hand. I took the knife. Try to cut. I don't remember what. It's not important. The main thing is, I wind up. I cut. I realize I'm slicing off my nail. I just miss. Because my right hand, it's not the working one. I can't coordinate it within plus or minus 15 centimeters.
Were you ever upset about being left-handed?
I felt like you were someone special, a bit different. You had your own unique flair. For me, it was even somewhat nice, but there was never a moment when I felt, darn, it's unfair. Why am I not right-handed? Well, right-handers are ordinary, and you're left-handed.
I was never upset about being left-handed. What, are you kidding? It's like, well, it's the elite. Look at her, it's just, well...
Well, it's true. I was never upset because there are 30 people in the class, and there you sit. I'm left-handed. Pass me, I don't know, the wine.
We're just the same, ordinary, just a little bit...
Left-handed.
Yes.